Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. If you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. It greatly helps the channel, so thank you very much. You may have noticed that my voice sounds a bit weird. I've actually, the past couple of days, I've been traveling quite a bit for work, waking up at 4 in the morning, going to the airport at 7. Then I got a really bad flu, more than 100 degrees fever, so it was quite bad. So I do apologize for not posting new content in the past 2 days, but I hope you cut me a bit of slack on that one. I mean, I've been traveling non-stop, back-to-back meetings, and then with 100 degrees fever at the same time. It's not the easiest of endeavors, but here I am. I wanted to address something regarding Aron's tweet, where he basically said that after the 325 million equity raise, that, what was it? AMC was going to survive and thrive. Now, I cannot guarantee for sure that is BSing you, but I do think that most likely there's going to be new dilution, and the timing of that new dilution will depend by when. So first of all, this equity raise was a disaster in the sense that, 25% dilution for $325 million. Just to put this into perspective, right? AMC burned operating cash flow of 200 million or so in the first 6 months of this year, or at least, in the last 2 quarters of the year. If you look at 2022, 2021, AMC is burning 600 million of cash per year. Now we're talking operating. This is before any investments, any maintenance, any interest payments, any debt repayment. This is all before that. This is just the operations, something that should be creating value, should be producing a positive cash flow. Now, this is very important because people confuse this. Income, cash, not the same. Example, there's an item that goes to the income statement called depreciation. What is that? Let's say, this is not the case for MC, but I just give a simple example that everyone will understand. You buy a car. You give cash to the owner of the car, to the dealership, whatever. Cash goes out one time. You get the car. But as a company, you need to register something called depreciation. The depreciation of the car. The car is losing value through time. So let's say it's losing, just to make it simple, 10% of its value per year. So let's say you bought the car for $100,000. You need to deduct $10,000 as an expense. This goes to the income statement. Now, was that an expense? Yes. Did some cash go out? No. You already bought the car before. You just need to revalue it or devalue it due to the depreciation factor. So there are situations when you can have revenues or expenses, but they are not linked to cash coming in or out. So in this situation, cash, if you want to look at the healthiness of a company, the cash flow statement is the most important, because a company can be reporting positive net income like AMC did in the last quarter. I think they had $8.6 million positive net profit, but they burned 13 million of cash. Just operations, because you have 3 types of cash. You have cash flow from operations, which is the most important one, because that it should be the purpose of your business to exist in the first place, is to generate more cash than it spends. Now, when you're growing a new business, it's often the case that you start negative, but eventually you turn positive. In the case of AMC, it's a very old business, and the cash burn rate is actually brutal. Now, this is the answer to the questions of many apes of, but AMC used to have 2 billion in cash, and now last quarter only had 458 million. What happened to the other 1.5 billion? Yeah, it's getting burned. Operations are burning it. Cash flow from investments, which is basically in capex, capital expenditure, so investments, acquisitions, additions, minus selling of assets, selling of subsidiaries, for example. And then you have the cash flow from financing, which is cash flow that you get either from lenders or from issuing equity. Now, but your sustainable cash flow, let's say, is the first one, because it's the operations of your business generating enough cash to pay off all your money going out on the operational side. So that is, you need to pay salaries, you need to pay for the materials to provide your service, whatever the case may be. So that's the core of your business. Then sufficient money should stay to pay for all the investments that need to be made. And then, ideally, you should repay some of your debt, particularly the most expensive part of your debt. So this is in the wonderful world. So this is the problem. AMC is already negative on the first layer, on the most basic layer, and in the past 2 years was 600 million of burned cash. Now, Aron said, with this $325 million, we are fine. $325 million. If you have a year like the previous two, like 2021, 2022, that lasts you 6 months. If you have a very bad year, maybe that lasts you 3 to 4 months before you need to dilute shareholders once again, because nobody's going to lend you money, because the lenders, they already outlend the value of the assets by 2.5 billion. What does that mean? If AMC sells everything they have, all their assets, the liabilities are still bigger by 2.5 billion. That means, you can go to their financial statements, company has negative equity of $2.5 billion. Now, sorry guys, in which case can Aron be correct? In the sense that, yes, this is enough, blah, blah, blah. If from now on, or if from the previous quarter, if from the quarter that we are now into the future, AMC turns around the business in such a way that you just generate positive cash flows, good enough to pay off debt, good enough to pay your expenses, good enough for anything that you cannot predict, right? Because you know, and I know, that things don't go always as you expect. But for that scenario, for him to be right, you need a massive turnaround on AMC. And let me be clear about this. I'm not talking about 1 quarter. I'm not talking about 2 quarters. I'm talking about at least 2 to 3 years of excellent performance. Talking about profit making, cash flow generative, ability to repay debt, particularly the more expensive one, on a consistent basis. Come sun, come rain, come wind, come quiet weather, it doesn't matter. They need to do this. Now, in my opinion, maybe this quarter will be very good for AMC. Q3, you had the Barbie movie, you had Oppenheimer. I think they broke all the records. But the question you should ask yourself is, as Aron said, this has been the best quarter in the history of AMC. So what you need to see is a brutal cash flow generation, a brutal profit making. Because if you're making records, if you're hitting records in your company's history, you need to, you cannot just be a little bit profitable. You cannot just generate 50 million of cash. I mean, you need to really hit a home run. And then you need to do it once or twice in a row or 3 times for people to start to gain confidence on your statement. Now, in my personal opinion, I think the only way that statement that he made, that AMC is fine now, will survive and thrive, right? It will only be true if there's a massive, talk about dramatic, it's not, oh yeah, AMC was profit, they made 5 million last quarter. No. I'm talking about you need a massive turnaround on the performance of the company and the ability of withstanding bad times. From what I've seen so far, I don't think that this is likely. What I think is more likely is that something's going to happen in the next few months and Aron will announce his retirement. He will still portray himself as, I saved AMC, this is all that I was here for, the company at least will survive, and now it's time for me to retire. This is my expectation. Within 12 months, he will retire. Now, so let me go very clear to what I think is going to happen. If there is a massive turnaround, performance increases brutally, yes, this equity raise may be enough. I think most likely, within 9-12 months, they are issuing more equity again. If something happens in quarter 4 and things turn sour, they will be raising equity within 6 months. Again, by the way, if you don't know what raising equity means, diluting shareholders. That's all it means. So, but I was completely shocked by his comments because for a company that burns 600 million of cash per year, that already burned 200 million of cash this year, and I'm talking again, just operational, excluding capex, investment, financing, anything, just operating cash flow, they already burned 200 million this year and 1.2 billion in the past 2. The way that it says so confidently, oh yeah, now we have everything to thrive. I mean, look, I haven't seen any YouTuber actually going into this level of detail. So I just wanted to point out, I'm not saying that you should buy or sell AMC based on his input or my input or anybody's input. I mean, you do whatever you think is good for you. I'm not here to give you financial advice. What I think my role here is to make you aware of these facts and figures, and now you compare it to Aron's statement, and you come to your own conclusion if what he's saying is likely to happen, is a pipe dream, or is another way to keep the apes strailing around while he collects, of course, his nice $25 million comp package. Up to you to decide. You let me know. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one tomorrow. Thank you very much.